All right, everyone, we'd like to start, if you be quiet a little bit, please. Thank you for coming and welcome to the Wareham Zoning Board of Appeals. For tonight's meeting, February 12, 2020, it is 6:35 PM. We are at room 320 at the Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. I'm gonna call the meeting to order and make a roll call. My far left, Jake Morrison, our town planner, Ken Buckland. My far right, Veronica Debonese, our clerk, Jim Akabachi, myself, the chair, Nazi Al-Kulasi. We have some quick business to do. It'll take us 2 minutes and we get to the public hearings. On the minutes, where's those minutes? The minutes?
I don't see any
No,
minutes.
because there was no meeting on the 22nd.
Okay, so, all right, so there's no minutes, Sonia, for next, I guess, next time. All right, we're gonna start with the public hearings, 49-19, 3067 Cranberry Highway. Anyone here from 3067 Cranberry Highway, Aspen Dental?
They want to continue the,
All right, let's continue the hearing to 26.
So moved.
available date.
All right, so we have a motion to move 49-19 of the 26. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain.
Will we continue into when?
The 26. 3067.
February 26. Thank you.
All right, before we go forward, it's a 5 board member and we have only 4. You have the right to be heard with 5 with 5 members, because you need to get 4 out of 5. Whoever do not like to proceed with 4 members, we don't have a full quorum. If they want to come forward first to let you go, what we do, we'll open the hearing and continue it for next time. So anybody with the public hearing would wish to continue?
This one wants to withdraw.
We got a hand up over there, but we need a supermajority, which is 4,
Right.
Correct.
for one thing but not for the other.
For a waiver, it's on,
For a special permit or a variance, you need
For
4.
either one?
Yes.
Okay.
all right. So,
Call the number 120, point signs.
what they want to do?
Withdraw without prejudice.
Oh, that's,
They want to withdraw the application.
oh, it's 3067 Cranberry Highway here?
No, that one, they asked for continuance, and you continue that
Oh,
one.
that's not the same one.
Different one.
Okay, well, good. So the second one, 1-20 pie and signs, one says Toby Road variance, and they need a continuance
Do you want
to
to continue, or they want to
No,
withdraw?
they do not want to, they want to
withdraw
withdraw.
without prejudice?
Yeah.
Hi, Gary from Point on Science.
Okay.
The client's not able to give us information that will comply with the hardship requirements that they're going to need to add this 4th sign. They already got three signs on the building, so I'd like to withdraw without prejudice to give them the opportunity, if the time allows, at some point in the future, they could come back.
So moved.
If I, do you want to continue it just in case they could?
This time, I think I'd like to withdraw without prejudice.
Okay, no problem.
Reapply, and get it all in.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So on 120, we have a motion to withdraw without prejudice by Jim. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Veronica. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, aye, oppose, abstain. So that's withdrawn. Very good.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, on Evergreen Street, you want to continue with 4 members? Okay, very well.
Nazi,
Okay.
excuse me, the gentleman in the back had his hand up when you had asked
Yes.
about withdrawal.
If you don't mind, just give us a second. Let's count everybody so they don't, it's a long night. So, sir, you are which one?
I'm Mike Wood with Sinorama Worcester. Based on the last meeting, I was specifically asked for a continuance for a 5-member board.
And you are 34,
I'm
40
at,
Sanorama for 45 Sandwich Road.
45 Sandwich. I did call this afternoon, and they weren't sure how many people would be here, so I took the drive down. I see that there's 4, and I'd like to see that.
For
we have
5? All right, we're very sorry you drove an hour and a half, but, okay, so you want to come back on,
The 26th, is that what you're
on the
saying?
26th?
February 26th?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you very
In
much.
that
Do I have a
same-
motion?
Same time, 6:30?
Same time.
Thank
Do
you
I have
very
a
much.
motion to continue?
Yes, so moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstain. Okay, so that's gone. Anyone else wanna stick with 5 board members? Okay, otherwise, we'll go by the list. 2-20, Jacqueline and Philip Roberts, 14 Evergreen Street.
The zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing on February 12th, 2020 at 6:30 PM in room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to consider petition number 2-20 for a special permit from the requirements of Article 6, Table 622 and 628 of the Wareham zoning bylaws. To Jacqueline and Philip Roberts, care of Lockwood Architects, P.O. Box 95, Onset, Mass.
We have to share with
Seeking to construct an addition to the current single-family dwelling at 14 Evergreen Street, Onset, Mass. This is map 2, lot 190 in the OV2 zoning district.
Okay, I have a seat, sorry.
He's giving us some updated material.
Is this,
All right, name and address for the record, Mr. Lockwood.
So I'm sorry, I was half listening, Ken, when you wrote before you started. So
Good evening. I'm Bill Lockwood from Lockwood Architects, and with me are
This is-
Jacqueline and Philip Roberts.
This for an addition to an existing single-family dwelling.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Lockwood, go ahead.
Not a problem.
And are they gonna speak? Just the name and address in
Oh,
case.
they are respectively Jacqueline and Philip
Okay.
Roberts, the clients. They reside in Bellingham, and the property is at
Okay.
14 Evergreen Street in the Oneset Heights section of Onset. We're proposing an addition. Like many lots, it's an undersized currently and overpopulated. So we stand in excess of lot coverage, and we stand in excess of floor area ratio. Impervious cover is currently compliant, and we intend to keep it that way. We think we can do this with minimal impact. We are barely in the flood zone. We will be going to conservation a little bit later. And if you look at the drawing, you can see in the black, the shaded sections are the additions, and the purple hatched buildings are the existing properties. As you can see, it's fairly minor in scope, 94 square feet on one side and a small 9 square foot addition on the other side. Total of 103 square feet of additional footprint. The thrust of the project is to get adult-sized bedroom on the second floor, and look forward to any questions you might have.
Okay, very good. All right, so you are an existing non-conforming, and you're asking for an addition. So, and a second story, so we start by the board. Veronica, do you have a question on that?
I'm assuming that the addition is just going to meet the existing height of the roof line that's there now.
Yes, it'll come down off the existing peak, existing ridge, rather. As you can, on our drawing in the front pocket, you should be able to see that.
I'll add in this and that little thing. What do you call it? What's the, Mr. Lockwood, to the left, that little room, what is it, like a bulkhead or something, or stairs?
On the left side of the property?
Yeah,
Can the
That
living
that
get
is
this?
a
Second floor.
small addition, 9 square feet, just big enough to fit their washing machine, which is kind of currently right in the doorway. And they'd like to get it out of the doorway.
so there's no windows on it or anything? It's just like a
Nope.
closet that's gonna stick out the side of the house?
And not even have a foundation,
Can't leave it.
cantilevered. So that becomes a de minimis piece of business.
Okay. And so on the opposite side, where you're doing a little more...
Where we're doing the project,
how much-
basically.
So you're increasing the nonconformity, but By how many square feet?
Well, 94 square feet on the ground floor. And
That's the footprint, that answers my question. Okay,
By 4%, 5%.
okay.
Jake,
No questions.
can you have a comment on that?
No, just that you're going to have to consider section 1352 and determine whether or not the
It's a variance,
extension will be,
variance or special permit?
yes.
That's an existing non-conforming. Does it need a variance? If it's existing non-conforming? We'll give them the relief, I have no problem, but
determined that it's more detrimental than it has to be, is that what it is?
Hey, you have to make a finding that it will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. If it is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, it's a variance.
yeah.
So we need to make two determinations, and the first one would be whether or not it's more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Right, however, it's an existing non-conforming that could extend the conformity. Anyway, anyone in the audience want to speak in favor of this project? Anyone against? All right, I hear none. Do you want to add anything, Mr. Lockwood?
No?
Can I add
Okay,
something?
anything
Yeah.
on board before?
Can
But
I add
but
something?
Oh, go ahead.
The reason we want to add on to the first floor is because as we get older, we don't want, there's no bedroom on the first floor, so we want to add that on so that as we get older, because this is where we want to retire.
Yeah, I understand. We're all in the same boat, I guess. All right. Any more discussion? I'd like to close.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so we're gonna find out, according to Mr. Buckler, we should find a relief for 1352, right?
And 1353,
And 1353, is the board feel,
I do not find it to be more detrimental to the neighborhood, and I make a motion that it is not more
substantially more detrimental.
substantially, keyword being substantially.
get that paper?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move, I guess, make a motion to grant as a special permit?
Correct.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain. So now, now the wishes on the special permit?
Make a motion to grant as presented by plan dated February 5, 2020, prepared by
Churchill.
Lockwood
No,
Architect.
That's by Churchill Engineer,
Stamped by Churchill, correct.
right, and by Mr. Lockwood.
Prepared for, not prepared by, sorry, prepared for by.
And Mr. Lockwood, when did you stamp the plan?
11/27/19.
Okay, by 11/27/19 by Mr. Lockwood. Okay, all in favor for
Do we have a
for
second?
granting? Oh, that's right, do I have a second for that?
Can you add standard conditions to that?
Yes, with standard
I have a
condition.
question.
Go ahead.
If that was stamped, when was it stamped? I'm sorry.
My
11,
last revision date is November 27th.
Oh, okay, because I'm just looking at it. I don't want to have any problems because it says.
Well, no, you're
February.
looking at the wrong drawing.
Oh, am I?
that's the side,
Sorry.
this is the architect.
Okay.
Okay. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain. Okay, 400, it carries, thank you. Thank you very much, you good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
With the February 5, 2020.
Give us a minute.
You guys must be lucky goat.
Yes. Correct.
Just give us a minute.
Give a minute for the,
Oh, you're lucky goat, too? You lucky cat.
yeah,
Let me finish this.
Yeah,
The project.
thank you.
Just call me well.
Do we have a file with this? Do we have any files with this?
They're still working on the last one, we wanna get that one filed. They're just letting us look at this because they wanna keep us busy.
Standard conditions applies, right?
Right. Gonna get you guys to sign this now?
All right, now all right, 3-20, Lucky Goat Brewing LLC, 379 Main Street, special permit or a variance.
The zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing on February 12th, 2020 at 6:30 PM in room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571. To consider petition number 3-20 for a special permit and/or variance from the requirements of section 320, section 351, and article 11 of the Wareham zoning bylaws to Lucky Goat Brewing LLC, care of Lockwood Architects, P.O. Box 95, Onset, Mass. Proposing a change to a mix of uses including assembly and factory for a brewery and tap room at 379 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. Also under review by the board are the site plan modifications and a sign proposal in the WV1 zoning district.
All right, and name and address for the record.
My name is Bill Lockwood from Lockwood Architects, 219 Onset Avenue. And with me are,
Kendall Peabody.
Caitlin Hurd,
Aaron Perry.
And just one address for the records.
2269 Cranberry Highway, West Wareham.
Very well. And you guys okay with 4 members, right? All right.
Go
very
for it.
well. So who wants to plead the case?
I'll start off. Okay, the property is located on the east side of Main Street in the village, Wareham Village Center. The property is currently vacant. It is last used as a fish market some years ago. These clients here would like to put in a microbrewery. They have been engaged in this business for some time out of the house, is that correct?
Yes.
And now look to make that a more retail situation. We're not proposing significant changes outside the existing building. We will be replacing the exit stairs, which are currently non-compliant, and we'd like to upgrade the patio that leads on Main Street, which leads into the property. We originally had included language and drawing to the effect of a deck off the back, which we are not interested in pursuing at this point in time. So the tap room in the front of the building would accommodate 34 people. There would be seating for about the same number in the patio out front. No food service would be done on the premises, but they will be bringing in food trucks to assist in the nourishment of the customers.
I'm sorry, there'll be no
They're,
cooking?
they're not going to be cooking in any significant amount on the property. They will have food trucks that visit the site periodically. But what they will be doing is brewing beers. And the latest drawing that I gave you shows the revised floor plan from the from what was initially included. Right now, the Table 320 principal uses does not allow a brewery, and that's the principal reason for our purpose being here.
Okay.
It seems like this is a use that the Main Street could absorb. Certainly, a use at all in that building is certainly something that the town should welcome. Immediately next door, you have some viability in the CVS plaza. Then you've got a variety of uses on this property, which has two principal buildings. This is the smaller of the two two buildings. The other building is larger, but has a number of mixed uses. Recently, the owners have applied for a used car lot on the property, which this will not interfere with. Their application, in fact, included parking for some use in this building, and this would not be adverse to that.
All right, let me ask you a question. So the
Yes.
car lot that was approved by the planning board, I know it was, and the site plan that was approved by, I know it wasn't approved by us.
Oh, okay.
The car lot, which building runs the car lot? Which building was approved by the site plan for the car lot?
I don't think there was a building per se. It was out behind this building that we're discussing.
Right, but in order to do retail, they have to have some kind of office.
I think that they were going to use the
adjacent
office
building.
to the right.
That's
The
in
old
the-
gas station.
No, the
Before that.
yeah the in the same lot there's a building that it has enough for an office and there's like a little small
Oil
house.
company office.
I know the building
Yeah.
very well. My question is, we need to know exact what was attached to this car lot, whether that building or this. Do you have an answer of this? We can't guess.
This is completely separate. There's nothing
I
attached.
totally understand. I do understand, but do you know which building was used for the dealership?
The dealership, they were using the building on the right in the latest modification of the latest iteration of the plan.
Okay, if they did this, what is the site plan and the parking for the dealership for customers and handicap? Are they using the same customer parking? Is this plan's been updated from?
It has not been updated, no.
Who did this, JC?
JC, no, GAF.
Okay. Did Mr. Grady did the plans? No? It's Bill who signed it. But Brian, did you do these plans?
I did not work on those.
No. Okay. All right. Well, let's take this by section. First of all, you're looking for a variance for the brewery. Then we talk about the site plan.
Yes, that'd be correct.
And that's probably a better way to.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest you consider that, as we did with the coffee shop in front of Walmart,
Right.
that you deal with the variance and allow the modification of the site plan review that has already been done by the planning board. So you focus on a smaller piece of the criteria.
Right. But if we, you have 35 seats for how many parking lot your project requires? How many parking spaces your project required?
I believe it'll be 8.
8, and
We're asking for 8.
you need 8, including employees and everything, according to your plan? According to the bylaws? Okay, it doesn't show it. How many seating people you have?
We have 45 in the inside.
45, so that's 5 per one.
That's 9 spaces.
So that's 9 spaces.
Yep.
And you need 1 handicap.
Yes, which we are showing.
Yeah, but you don't have 9 parking lots, do you?
Is this two cars parked over here.
That's for display. All right, let's go forward with the variance. I cannot act on the special permit unless we go through the site plan, okay?
Okay.
Let us give you, hopefully, I'm open to it, and then we'll talk about the site plan.
Fine.
All right? Is that cool? Is everybody okay with this? All right, so Veronica, let's talk questions about the variance. About a use variance, right? That's what you call it,
Yes, a use
a
variance.
use variance.
What are some of the criteria for them to prove a hardship on this?
Use
how-
variance,
Is that,
it's not like a regular variance, so the hardship, I mean, you have to determine if you think it's right for the area and stuff.
so no hardship has to be,
Well, that is, but you have to make your own decision on that. I'll let you think about it, Jimmy.
So, the mixed use of assembly and factory. A factory, to me, when I think of a factory, I think. No problem. When I think of you must have been able to hear me to tell me you couldn't hear me. When I think of a factory, I think about making cars, windows, building things. When I think about a brewery, I think about cooking things, and that was a fish market with a restaurant in it. And that's they cooked fish, and now they're gonna cook
Yeah.
hops.
Hops and barley, yeah.
Okay, so I question the use of the word factory.
Only because that's where it,
That's the word that's in the building department's answer, and I'm just saying out loud so that the public can hear where I'm coming from. I don't know where there's a factory. I don't see any steel workers, I don't see any hard hats. I don't see anything that I think of when I think of a factory. When I think of a witch over a pot brewing things, I think of cooking. When I think of a person making beer, I don't consider that a factory. Now, if it was Budweiser and they had machinery and they were, okay, I guess I could call that manufacturing. These guys are gonna brew up some hops and some barley and strain it out and show kinds of courage and drink it.
precisely.
So,
I talked to Ken about it a bunch, and he's like, I don't know what to call you guys.
okay, so,
He couldn't figure it out.
That's why they call them microbreweries,
yeah.
not whole
yeah.
breweries.
So, okay, so that's, I guess I've expressed my feelings on it for you and my other board members to hear. And that should carry through to my decision if I or somebody else makes a motion. That's my questions.
So you okay with it, whether
I don't
it's a
even-
variance or not?
I don't think it's a change of use, if you want. That's my opinion.
Well, we can,
Well, there's no use of the building because it's been vacant for more than 2 years, so the use is not protected on the.
Okay.
right, but
Site.
it's an allowed use.
Well, it depends
It's
on what you mean by allowed use. I think
restaurant.
the factory was was this idea of
No, excuse me.
manufacturing.
Again,
I'm
it's
just-
Jim talking about a restaurant.
I'm
It's
just,
an allowed use for a restaurant.
yeah.
Restaurant is an allowed use, yes, within the
Right.
district.
Factory's not an allowed use.
I'm looking at the accessory use regulations, the WV1, correct? Recreational
that's
uses.
correct.
Wareham Village.
It says food and beverage services and accessory use related to permitted recreational activities is not an allowed use. However, it was a fish market,
In
so
where? In what zone?
WV1. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
Yep.
what's it saying?
It says, food and beverage services and accessory uses related to permitted recreational activities, not an allowed use. However, it was used in that manner.
All right, so we continue with the variance, with the use variance, so we don't have to,
Yep.
For the use
Interpret the
variance,
law.
for the use variance, what you want to find is that the conditions of the property are such that it creates an impracticality to have otherwise the use that's being proposed. And the literal enforcement of the bylaw would involve a hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner, and that relief can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent and purpose of the bylaw. So there's something about the condition of the property that's such that makes it impractical to use it for some other purpose. There's an enforcement of the bylaw would create a hardship, and there's no detriment to the public good or to the or derogation of the bylaw as a result of approving the use variance.
I agree. Jake, what do you think?
I think it's a good project.
All right. Before we go forward, on the variance part, just on the variance part, whether we allow it to pass or not, so we're not talking about parking, sewer, water, whatever. On the variance part, anybody want to speak in favor of this project in the audience? Anybody want to speak against? Favor or against? One speak, okay. All right.
WV1.
In favor?
Okay, so,
Hang on a minute, I'm just, go ahead, I'm half listening and half.
we're only acting in the variance part first. And then we talk about site plan.
Yeah, no, I'm still hung up on the use thing.
That's what we're dealing with.
If I can address that for you. So the federal and state law, actually, the license we have to obtain, they actually call a manufacturing license. So even though it's not steel, which is something I would think of as a...
I'm on to I got you.
Okay.
I got you. We're talking about recreational uses. What's the recreational portion of, is it when you get high from drinking it? What's the
Some people consider that recreation.
We're
It's a
looking
good
at
question.
recreational uses. Is it a playground? Is it a,
So there's some
I
conditions.
mean, I've looked back here at restaurants and they're allowed, but now we're saying it's not allowed because it's recreational.
Right.
I just, related to permitted hotels and conference, related to a recreation, so I'm trying to figure out what the recreational use that
wanna write
Bruin
these things for
is
me?
related to that's making it be a no, because over here under restaurants and stuff, and what I would think would qualify for what you're doing, it is an allowed use, so. Do you guys have like gym mats in there, or do you have,
No jungle gyms?
No jungle gyms.
climbing walls?
No climbing walls, no.
All right, so I get,
Forearm curls.
for the variance alone, we go back to our subject. So for the variance alone, for the use variance, are you guys, how you guys feel about it?
I mean, I'd like to see the building used.
Okay.
I think it's a,
Jake, you feel good about the variance? All right, let's pull a vote on the variance. I have a motion to grant the variance, not the site work or special permit,
Yeah, so moved.
the use variance. So we have a motion to grant the use variance by Jim. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jake. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, abstain, 400. The variance carries. Now we go to the real subject, the special permit. I'm just going to give you my opinion, then we run it by the board. I think it's a great project, no doubt. But before we go forward, because we are not the one who granted this permit, so you have to modify the site plan, because we don't know, it seems to me you have two display cars in the front, so it seems to me this building used for a dealership, because it says two display area for vehicles.
Yep,
So somehow this plan has to be modified,
yes.
the site plan by GAF or whoever. For that business alone, you cannot have a parking for this business used for the dealership and for this place. So it has to have its own parking dedicated. You gotta review your numbers of employees, your number of seating, and accordingly, you draft your site plan. The second issue, do you use a lot of water in that thing?
They will use water in the
Right, I mean,
process.
we
It
would like to hear-
winds up in the product.
Right, so we'd like to hear from the water department as well, before we give you a permit, then the water department say, well, you need 20-inch line, I don't know how much water you need, I'm sure it's okay just to say that they'll give you enough water before we clash together. Also, on the sewer, have you talked to the sewer department? Is there any chemicals in this, or just a grease trap? I don't know what's involved.
There are no chemicals because.
It's mostly organic and decomposable.
But that's something like, just for instance, if you have a restaurant, you have to put a grease trap.
Yeah.
So we have to have the okay from the sewer department, so if we could get us, like, quick letter from the sewer department saying he's okay with it, you guys comply, whatever, I don't know what you guys put down the stuff, and like I said, you have the architecture plan, I'm okay with this, so these are departments would like to hear from. Also, fire department would be healthy if you got a letter, I'm trying to
Yeah.
progress this
We,
for you.
we have concurrently applied to the building department for a building permit as though we were a restaurant. And so that review process will be ongoing.
Yeah, but it's not a restaurant.
I know it's not a restaurant. Be-
So I have my main concern, I'm sure the fire department's fine by it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to help you to make your process quicker.
Well, I guess where I was going with that was that the fire department will in fact be reviewing the project.
I'm sure they will, and I'm sure it's fine, but just to make
Yep.
it easier for us.
We will certainly get that for you.
Yeah, and as well as the water and sewer. So we need really letters from these people, these officers saying, well, you have enough, like I said, they might say, well, we don't have enough water, enough sewer, like I said. So going back to the special permit and the site plan, we run it by the board. Veronica, what do you think?
For,
Site plan. What I talked about?
I don't have a comment.
You don't have, Jimmy?
My only comment is, I can look at that plan, and it's really clear that the used car lot was issued to the building that's now gonna be a brewery. And I don't care if but it doesn't bother me if you wanna get them in and get them loaded and then sell them a car, but I think we need the planning board to agree to that, because they're the ones that gave the auto dealership to that building. So is it a auto dealership, or is it a brewery, or is it both? I mean, I don't object to both. You sell cars or beer however you want, but just make sure we got our Ts
Right.
crossed and our Is dotted.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't care too, whereas if you sell cars as well, like Jimmy said.
As long as they don't drive after
Right,
they've been.
after drinking, but like I said, we cannot, if the planning board gave you permit based on this permit, on this building, if we are to give you a permit and you use this building as we give it to you, you pretty much abandon the use of the car lot. And I don't think the planning board would be happy for us to do this. So we have to clarify between the planning board and ourselves, so we're both on the same
Understood.
track. Okay, Jake?
I agree with you.
Ken?
Yeah.
All right, anyone in the audience want to speak in favor or against? I hear none, so how much time you need to come back for the special permit?
But
You think you can get all these by the next meeting?
we can certainly try, and
If you can, you're here.
if we can, we can't. If not, we'll kick it back another 2 weeks.
All right, very well, so let's make a motion to continue.
So moved.
So we have a motion to continue. It is 3-20 Lucky Goat Brewing LLC. We have a motion to continue until February 26th. Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye, oppose, abstain. See you then. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you have any question, if you want to run it by Ken, so hopefully we'll wrap it up next time. It'd be great. He could call us. We can discuss it very little. We can't discuss it much outside the public hearing.
Right.
But we can direct you the right way to go,
Sorry, no.
okay? Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you and good luck.
All right, continue public hearing 20-19, coastal cultivar, 0 Patterson Brook Road, special permit.
Coastal cultivars.
One plan or two?
That's the one set.
One set, okay.
You have that letter, Charles, then,
I talked to him today. I think we have it in there, but he said he was fine with it.
Everything?
He was fine with everything as is now.
Okay. All right. One is enough for all of us.
Yeah, you want to bother?
All right, just the public hearing's still open, just name and address, please.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Donald Nagel. I represent Coastal Cultivars.
Yeah.
And with me is Ben Smith from Coastal Cultivars and Brian Grady from GAF.
Yeah.
This is a continued hearing, and what you should have before you is a new revised set of plans.
Yeah.
Who do we want, page 3? What do we need to get at, page 3?
Yeah, 5.
Site plan overview plan?
Yeah, site plan overview, sure.
Okay, what's on 5?
All right, were they looking for this? Did you?
Yeah, these plans should address comments by the fire marshal,
Yeah,
who spoke at the last hearing.
yeah,
So those concerns have been addressed. And previously, we got a letter from the town engineer, which we responded to in writing. And at the last hearing, we also discussed our response with the board. So we discussed the town engineer's comments.
yeah.
And so, obviously, you want to have a chance to look at those revisions. But other than that, I think we have addressed the concerns of the board and the town engineer, and the fire marshal.
You mean the fire
so-
department? You mean Wareham Fire Department, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so according to Charlie, I mean.
I talked to Charlie Rowley today, this afternoon, and he said he was fine with the plans as revised, and everything was in accordance with his recommendations.
So you guys addressed pretty much every issue you guys discussed with?
Yeah, you should have in your file a letter from Charlie Rowley dated January 22nd, with his final review and his sign-off on the project. And you may also have received an email dated January 22nd from the fire protection officer, Captain Smith, that he has reviewed all the revisions and he's satisfied as well.
I personally, I look at it quick. I haven't felt good for the last 2 weeks, so I didn't really look at it much, but I saw on my computer. But I'm gonna take Mr. Buckland's word and your word that you guys address all these issues. Is the board okay with this?
I'm good.
You know, the issue with the cul-de-sac, and so you guys gonna do the cul-de-sac, of course, and get an okay from the planning board to become a lot, because as of now, it's not really a lot until.
Right.
The planning board has approved the subdivision as shown on the plans. This still requires a surety or a covenant to be placed on the property and before the release of the lot to construct.
Okay, so they put on a bond before they construct, or they
Right,
cannot
they're gonna put up a bond.
Okay, and you guys figured out, the planning board, I guess, figured out how much the cul-de-sac.
That's right.
Okay, so you guys all set with this? All right, anyone in the audience want to speak on this project, favor or against? I hear none, so Veronica, any comment on this?
I have no comment.
Jim?
Nope.
Okay, Jake?
No comments.
Ken, you want to
All
add?
set.
All set. All right, I mean, I believe in GAF Engineering, they do the right plan. If Mr. Rowley is happy, you guys happy, everybody's happy, everything's addressed, I don't see a problem with this. Do you guys want to add anything before we close?
After they get this built, more people will be happy.
Yeah. I wish I was one of them. All right, you want to add anything before we close? All right,
I think we're all set.
you good? All right, do I have a motion to close?
So moved?
Do I have a second?
I have a draft decision here.
Yeah, oh, excellent, even better.
Terrific.
All right, do I have a second to close by Veronica? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a two
Aye,
copies of that?
oppose, abstain, okay.
Wanna see
Who drafted this?
I did.
Oh, you did? Did you guys look at it? No? All right, why, you, oh.
Jake's got one.
Oh, you have one? Oh, yeah, got one. So this is our thing here, to sign.
Yes, this is the one to sign.
This is the one to sign. If we vote yes,
Yes, if you vote yes, this is the one you sign. This has all the conditions.
this one. Yeah. You need the one to record, the other people, no? The other
No,
people-
I'll use the one you signed to record.
Okay.
I also want you to sign a copy of the plans,
This one.
the latest version. You can sign the cover sheet, so it's
Right.
determined which plan set is approved.
You know,
Brian, that was revised 1/23/2020, right?
Revision 3,
That's the last one, right?
yes.
interestingly, after listening to you guys and somebody bringing something up about smell, just an FYI, it's got nothing, I'm on the internet and I'm looking at something, and boom, what pops up? But a company that's designed a machine
Warm your initials.
to sniff
Yeah, just sign it.
marijuana while it's growing, so they can tell if it falls within the right smell of a certain, at distant distances.
Really?
So it looks like a radar gun, but you pull the trigger and it smells the air. All for what you're doing. I found it interesting.
Interesting technology.
Yeah, well, you know, there's no limit to what people can come up with. Project shall comply.
You don't have to sign all the sheets.
I'd rather,
All right, why don't you sign a second set as well
okay.
for Charlie?
Wow. Sure you can. Yeah, you ran it right out of ink, huh? It's just probably cold. Hey, do we need to sign one of these?
Yes,
They're reviewing it quick. Once you guys are done, let me know.
You're the only one that needs to sign the plan, right?
Yeah.
Just somebody,
Unless you
just
guys
somebody
feel
that
like
initial, just as long as one of us has, yeah. We're gonna wait, if, we can always rip it up, we got more copies if they don't like it. Just trying to save time. Jake. We still got two more, oh yeah, there's more people here.
Just a minor clarification.
Good with that?
Just some minor clarifications, maybe some
Questions, go ahead.
typographies on the first page.
Yeah, Ken,
A3 says no retail uses proposed, comma, and no, and then it's blank, so there just might be a typo there.
You can cross out and no.
And then, second page, C7, doesn't apply. We have an on-site system. We're not connected to the wastewater treatment facility.
1 second, where's the one we're signing? Who's got the one we're signing?
This one.
Okay, can
Yeah,
you,
none of this affects the signature page.
what's that? I know, but we
We
wanna
wanna change
initial
the-
it, so you
Edit
change
it,
it.
yep.
As
So-
we go.
so
You're
we-
not going on sewer?
It's on-site. There's no
You
sewer.
don't need it?
It's not available.
Oh, it's not even
All right,
available.
so the first, number 3, and no?
Yeah, so no retail use proposed,
Okay.
period.
What's the second one?
Sewage, they got them tied into.
C7 is not applicable. We're not connecting to the wastewater treatment facility, so that would all be struck. And then you would have to renumber the following.
Okay, sorry.
Can we just cross it out and put intentionally deleted or something there?
No, I'll change it.
Reprint it.
Okay,
Here,
because you're not
so
changing the signature page.
renumber,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
And then 9A calls for inspection of the hay bale line. You know, we're not showing a hay bale line. We're not doing any work within the buffer zone riverfront area. You know, we'll put up a, you know, orange construction fence or something to demarcate limit of work, but no hay bale.
So A, struck A,
You can call for something else, you know, construction
safe
fencing
construction fence.
or other demarcation.
okay, right,
And that's it.
okay.
Good eye.
So then
That's what they pay you the little bucks for, huh?
Well,
what you do,
Yeah, okay.
and then what you do, reprint that.
Well, they were little changes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good catch.
All right,
It's-
so
it's
let's
been
finish
signed.
signing. It's all signed?
I'll sign it.
All right, before we say it's a good, 1, 2, 3,
You should vote on it, though.
4, right?
Yeah, we need to.
Okay. All right, let's hear a motion to grant as per conditions.
As per conditions and as per sign,
Per plans,
per
yeah.
plans, so moved.
Okay, so we have a
Standard
motion
conditions.
to grant the what do you call, what's the name? Coastal cultivars, 0 Patterson Brook Road, as per conditions stated and per plans revised on January 23rd, 2020. So the motion by Jim, do I have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstain. It carries. Thank you very much. Thank you for addressing our issues.
Thank you very much.
And good luck, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
A lot of taxes, so.
Look,
Yes.
And you want to put the
Thank you.
date of the public
Thank you very
hearing as
much.
today?
Yeah,
put the what?
the date of the hearing.
Do we need to?
He has date of notice, but dates of the public hearing is still blank.
No,
First,
no, we don't.
Acknowledge what you said?
All
He
right,
said yes, but I don't know if he knows what I meant.
all right.
Get it, what she was saying about the?
Yeah, I did.
Because it's, yeah,
The date of the hearing.
yeah.
Okay, continued public hearing, neighborhood restoration. Is neighborhood restoration, okay? And that is 46-19, 259 Park Ave.
A little
Okay,
bit, it's cooling down. Especially when somebody's watching and you're trying, the ahead her I go, behind her I get type thing. Got a cold, I heard on the weather that there's a huge cold front gonna sweep the whole country.
Oh, yeah?
15-degree temperature.
all right, public hearing still open. Name and address for the record and fresh up
Yeah.
our memory for this, please.
Right. My name is Frank Westgate. I did the survey and the plan work for this project.
Okay, where did we leave it last time?
Um,
Or just refresh our memory what
Why-
we're doing, I forgot
Why
about
did we
it.
send you away and why are you back?
Right,
There's a huge gaping hole in the roof. We want to go up as long as we have to repair the roof.
Right.
Same footprint.
Right. You wanted some more detail on what we're going to be doing there, and you asked me for more information on the plan. Okay, the setbacks to the buildings and all of the setbacks to the current dwelling. And also, we had to add the word existing. There might have been a few other items, but we took care of all that. But we've also added a second sheet to give you a little more detail as to what we want to do there.
okay.
And if you look at that note in the right-hand corner, we hope that you can move this along and let us come in with actual architectural drawings. when we go for the building permit.
Okay.
Ken's not looking at the same plan. You don't have a copy of the plan, Ken?
That's all right.
Right here. Now,
There's a note on that second sheet in the bottom right.
and you are Mr. Healy, the surveyor?
I'm the surveyor. I did the survey and the plan work, right?
He's Westgate, he's not Healy.
Okay. So this is the existing conditions, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, is that a date on that plan? Okay, 122, all right, I get that.
Right now, it's an eyesore. There's a big hole in the
I-
roof
I
from a fallen
understand.
tree. And
So what you guys like proposing to do the same footprint, are you tearing up a new foundation?
it may,
At this point, it seems like we can go up with the existing foundation.
But
but
that's
same
not our
foot-
jurisdiction.
Same
that's-
footprint, period.
That's building code. I mean, you could take it down, put a new one if you want, but if it carries, that's the
We're
commissioner's
still waiting for
decision, not
engineering.
ours.
Yep.
This
Okay.
is both the same sheets. Do you have one that says also sheet 2 of 2? I see.
All right, Veronica, do you have a question on that?
No, I do not.
Jimmy?
So we're looking for a special permit because it's a lawfully pre-existing non-conforming.
Correct.
That,
that's correct. We're using the same footprint.
so you're not increasing the non-conformity, you just, the only increase is that you're adding more square foot to the residence and you're doing it by going up.
Gotcha. And you want
You're
to
not
make sure
going
we were
up-
staying
you're
within
not going
4
up
stories,
as high
not
as you're
5.
allowed.
Yeah, yeah, 25, I think it's 25 feet.
You're allowed to go 35 and you're going to 25.
Yep.
Okay, I'm good.
Jake?
I'm good as well.
All
We
right,
got what
so,
we asked for.
So, right, so again, we have to give him a relief on 1352, saying
It's
whether
not
if we,
substantially, yeah.
right, whether we believe it's a special permit or a variance. So, anyone in the audience want to speak in favor or against? I hear none. So let's.
I don't
Want to
believe-
add anything?
No?
Any more discussions, guys?
Move to close the,
Okay, let's close.
move to close.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, is closed. Okay, so how's the board feel about variance or special permit?
It's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. If anything, it's an improvement.
Okay, so you vote, you were making a motion
Move to, yeah,
to act as a
Special permit.
special permit?
correct.
Okay.
Need a second.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Jake. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain. Okay, now the wishes on the special permit.
I say grant as presented with standard conditions. Motion,
Okay, and the finding that's not detrimental to the neighborhood.
based on that finding,
Okay. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Jake. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Oppose, abstain. So 4-0-0, you good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I guess you need the plan for the commissioner when you're ready to build. Thank you very much. Just to make your life quick, you might need an engineer letter for the foundation, you know that.
For the building permit, correct. Yep.
Do you want to take them back? You said. We like to throw them in the, so if somebody comes and saves the town
You can-
8 or 10 cents, you know, and they don't have to use the copy machine. And we, you know, that's gonna make a big impact on our taxes. You would think it was when you were charging somebody, so.
That's the green newer deal, right?
The green newer deal, yes. If it's just gonna end up in a folder somewhere, it might as well sit in the town hall, and when somebody wants to come see the records.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good evening.
I have coastal cultivars drawings.
All right, we have one more. 48-19, Antonelli's. Okay, 0 Old Onset Road, and Antonelli's.
This is continued, I just don't remember it.
It's,
We gave them some advice and now they're back, I think.
all right, I could fill you up on that. Just your name for the record, ma'am.
Ann Antonellis.
Mr. Grady, your name?
Brian Grady with GAF Engineering.
Okay,
Oh, I
public
remember
hearing
now.
still open. I believe the, Mrs. Antonelli is looking for a variance because they don't have enough frontage. And, last time, were you here?
No, I wasn't.
No, okay, I guess you brought weapon with you, backup.
Okay,
All
so,
right, so,
yeah,
go ahead.
your suggestion was we would not be able to get a variance because we didn't have enough frontage on the MR 30 zone. We only had 129, so I think you said, Jim, we could engineer a solution. Okay, so in comes Brian. And
Did you moon shape it?
Well, after Ms. Antonellis approached me after your meeting, I had went in and had a discussion with Ken about some of, I guess, the available options that you folks discussed that night. One of them was to put a curve in Old Onset Road, which I like the idea, but I think that would require town meeting approval to modify a public street layout, planning board, you know, action, but at least possibly a town meeting approval. The other option we discussed, or I discussed with Ken, was what you see here, we've done it on other projects in the past. What you see on the south side of the lot is we're creating a new layout. So other projects, other properties, we've gone before the planning board, create a layout for the street, and then request all kinds of construction standards and waivers. So that's an option that's available at the planning board, and it's what I've reflected here to show you what is potentially available. Because
So, in layman's terms, you're making a big driveway that's gonna look like a street so that it can have the frontage is?
no, it's going to look like a driveway. You know, we would request construction standards that, you know, it doesn't have to be 20-foot wide paved, it doesn't require drainage, it doesn't require any of that.
Right.
Because they have full access to Old Onset Road, so, and there'd be no requirement that it would have to access through that street layout, right-of-way, whatever you want to call it either, because in essence, it becomes a corner lot. So that's available to us.
You could add both corners,
You
right?
could enter from either street. It's a corner lot.
For frontage, you add the street and whatever that parking, you could add them.
I'm sorry,
For
what's it?
frontage, the whole issue is frontage, so you'll be
Right.
adding the street, so you add in how much?
Well, this shows 150 feet on the newly created right-of-way.
Okay,
So, but that would require us to go to planning board through the definitive subdivision process, request all the construction standard waivers associated with it. So we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars down the road and months of time to get through that process. So I'm just throwing this out there for your consideration and your review. We'd basically end up in the same place. So if you were to grant the variance tonight for the frontage, terrific. If not, there is an option available to them, but again,
It's expensive,
it's a significant amount of
time-consuming.
money, effort, and time moving forward, so.
all right, let me ask you a quick question. There was a lady last time, she talked about right-of-way. Have you looked at the deed? Is that right-of-way in there?
I did, I went and knocked on her door, had a discussion with her, I reviewed the deed. There's a couple of right-of-ways or easements mentioned in her deed. One of them is a 66-foot wide easement, which is on the very back of the property. And then there's a right-of-way easement, which is actually on her lot.
On hers?
On her lot, there was this curve,
Yeah.
which was left for a potential future roadway on this lot. Nothing was reserved, however, on this lot.
We don't care, all what we personally, I'm sure the board feels the same way. We care that we don't put that house on the right-of-way. That's all what I care. You could put the
Right.
driveway on the right-of-way.
Right.
But not the house.
Well, there is no reserved
no
right-of-way on our subject property for the adjacent piece.
Okay,
But we wouldn't interfere with that anyway. You know, with this scenario, we can either, if you chose to approve the variance tonight, you could condition it that,
nothing be constructed or this side of the lot be reserved for any potential future consideration. I don't feel it's in place, but you could certainly condition it as such.
I really do not, personally, I don't know how the board feel. I don't want, as I said before, we have thousands of, probably 2,000 lots like this in Wareham, and I don't want to be the one responsible to open a can of worm for this. And I think it's a fairly easy process. I've done it with planning board. It's not that big. It's not thousands and thousands, few thousand, and you could go, we did Skipper Way of Charge Pond. There's just driveway, no drainage. We put 2 houses on it, planning board, although
We're gonna do something like this.
I'm not good fan of them. They did approve it.
We're gonna do something like this at Rosebrook as well, too.
Right, so I don't see
Yeah,
it's
right.
that big of a deal, and you will need a driveway. Let me ask you a question, Brian. Frontage, you could add 2 sides for frontage, or what's the bylaw says? You have to have on one side 150? What I'm trying to say, if you have, what do you have on the road, 80?
130, 129 and
130,
change.
so you only,
Right.
if you could add them, you can only do 30 feet, which is,
Well, it becomes
you
a
need a driveway 30 feet anyway.
corner lot, does it go to the midpoint of the arc?
Didn't we go through this on a lot out on Great Neck where
Right.
they only let him use he was on the corner of 2 roads and they only let him, the way our rules are written, you can only use the frontage off one of the streets, not both of them? It's
For
gonna be
lot-
all on one
We
street?
came back, we had,
The definition of lot frontage is lot lines are, in the case of corner lots, the distance between one side lot line and the midpoint of the corner arc length.
okay, so you could use that, half of that radius.
Right.
That's what we did on that job. They did that project, GAF.
Yep. And
All
so
right.
we're at 130 and you need 150, is that it?
Right.
So all you have to do, make that curb and make driveway like 30 feet, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, the planning board's an available avenue for them to take. So if that's your preference, I could speak with Ken about moving forward with that.
Can I have, I
yeah,
have a
of
question.
course, go ahead.
What's the difference between doing that and what's being presented?
If we grant a variance, if the board make this lot buildable, I'm telling you right now, tomorrow there'll be 50 applications.
Sure, I totally, and I am in agreement
Right,
with you
and I'm
on
not
that.
willing to
However,
do this.
I'm not understanding the difference between what Brian is presenting here and what the planning board will be looking at.
The planning board will make more frontage. They'll make a road, so it gives them more frontage
is
than
this.
the legit lot. It becomes a legit lot.
Which is what he's proposing here, what he's showing here, is that a right-of-way that provides the additional frontage that meets the requirements of zoning.
So there's a right-of-way on the neighboring,
No, it's in
It's
their own
on their
land.
own land.
I know, but I have a question that's about that neighboring lot with the right-of-way. That doesn't create any kind of frontage when you have a deeded right-of-way?
It creates frontage on the lot it touches as well, too, but it's a private way.
Are you referring to that small curve on the adjacent piece?
Well, you mentioned that the lot beside it has a right-of-way.
Yeah, there was an easement set aside, but we
an
can't
easement.
count that as frontage
okay.
for this lot.
It's not a right granted to this parcel, it's a right on that parcel to themselves.
Yeah, it was reserved on that
Nothing to do
lot
with this parcel.
if
Okay.
they wanted to use the other piece in the future, correct?
What happened, whoever sold them this lot kept a piece on the side, so they made the frontage smaller, unfortunately, 20 feet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If they give back that right away, they'll have plenty. But they took that, I mean, the easement, they took an easement, right?
They reserved themselves an easement,
Yeah.
right?
So you can't use it.
And this would add 150 to the 129?
No, that,
Well, we could explore the corner lot and see if we could minimize it, then we would just kind of need to put a radius and then maybe 20 feet of a way. So we have to work these details out with the
Let
planning
me ask
board.
you something, who owns the easement? They don't.
No, It's
okay,
on the adjacent
so
lot.
it's not theirs.
right.
So, yeah, I personally would like I don't see a problem with Mrs. and Mr. I know they wanna pull a house to retire here. It's a great lot, nice, plenty of room. I don't see the planning board will have an issue. I can't speak for them, but I think it's fair. But, and again, I don't feel comfortable to personally to give variance. So I don't know what you wish to do. Would you like to withdraw? I mean, you have, I definitely gonna say no, so I don't know if you wanna pull a vote and get denied and never come back for 2 years.
No, I hear you.
Withdraw.
I understand, it's a very valid point, so with that in mind, I guess I would just ask to withdraw without prejudice.
Yeah.
All right, and then, Ms. Antonelli, like, if you understand, so you go to planning board, then you don't need us.
Okay.
You know, so you don't, and I wish you all the luck. I'm sorry we can't help you. We'd love you to be in town. I know you guys coming from up north somewhere, right?
Just
You-
Holbrook.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not that far, but,
I have one more
Yeah.
I have another question on this. So this lot's existed all this time, and you're proposed to buy it, but subject to being able to get a permit, is that correct? Okay.
right.
But, so whoever's selling it to you now, are they paying taxes on a non-buildable or on a buildable lot?
It's a good
I
question.
don't think it's relevant.
Well, it's just a curiosity. Does anybody know?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, this question always come in on the town, oh, I pay taxes, it's buildable,
I
I
get-
pay taxes, not buildable. I think it's totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant what you pay, whether, how the town see it buildable or not. I mean, I could totally tell you this lot. You could bring a total, perfect lot, with 32,000 square feet, 200 feet of frontage, and the zoning board would tell you it's buildable, but you go to conservation, it's underwater, so it's not buildable.
I
So-
get you.
So
Yeah, I
whether,
get- yeah,
whether
you're
the
right, you're
town assess it as buildable or not, it always comes up. It's totally irrelevant. Because sometimes the assessor don't pick on it or miss it, or sometimes, a lot of times, they make lots buildable and which is are not. So, so I don't think
You're
it's,
proposing that he goes to the planning board and gets the right.
Yeah, we'll go to the planning board through the definitive subdivision process, right.
A
Okay,
one-lot
so-
subdivision.
I wouldn't, I'll be,
That's what it is.
yeah, don't be discouraged. I think you'll be fine. So hopefully it works. I
Probably
know
a
it'll
better
work for
way.
you. Huh?
You're right, you're probably doing her a favor by saying no. I would have voted for the variance, but I get where you're coming from.
So we welcome you, I mean, very welcome to build a house here. We'd love you to be your neighbors. So you want to withdraw?
Withdraw without prejudice, yes.
Okay, do I have a second motion on that?
I make the motion that we accept his request to withdraw and it be without prejudice.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain. Good luck, Ms. Antonellis, thank you.
Thank you.
You'll be okay, don't be discouraged.
It's
And
taking a little longer, that's it.
Yeah,
but
that's
I
all.
think you guys will get through it.
Yeah, you'll get through it.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anything else you guys like to discuss? I hear none. Want to make motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose, abstain. Thank you very much. Thanks, Bob.